You look at Elon Musk's ventures electric cars, rockets, social media, AI. They seem all over the place, right? But what if I told you they're all connected? That they're all part of one single, massive vision for humanity's future? Well, that's what we're going to do. We're going to piece together his grand plan using a recent wide-ranging conversation to connect his core philosophy to some of his most startling predictions for our world. So, to really get where Musk is going, we have to start where he started. And it all boils down to this one fundamental question. He says that this search for meaning, that deep curiosity about why we're even here, and maybe more importantly, what questions we don't even know to ask yet, that's the real engine behind everything he builds. Yeah, so this isn't just about building cool tech for the sake of it. No, it's about a single driving mission to expand the scope and the scale of human consciousness so that we can better understand the universe itself. And where does this idea come from? Well, you might be surprised. It's from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. You know the story, right? A giant supercomputer spends eons calculating the answer to life, the universe, and everything, and it comes back with 42. The problem is, nobody knows what the actual question was. So for Musk, the takeaway is that finding answers isn't the hard part. The real challenge is learning how to ask the right questions. And to do that, he believes we need a bigger, more connected consciousness. Okay, so that brings us from the big philosophical ideas right down to the engineering. If your goal is to expand consciousness, what are the actual practical tools you need to build to make that happen? So when it comes to social media, Musk sees a clear fork in the road. One path, well, he calls it brain rot. You know what he means. Those endless, mindless video streams designed for quick dopamine hits. But the other path, the one he says he's aiming for with X, is to create a true global town square. A place for real, substantive conversation, not just, fleeting entertainment. And this is where we really get to the heart of it. The goal of a platform like X, in his view, isn't just to connect people. It's to weave all those individual connections into something way, way bigger, a human collective consciousness. He uses this really powerful analogy to explain it. Think about it. A single human being is made of over 30 trillion individual cells, right? But we operate as one person. A single bacterium isn't going to build a spaceship, but a collection of humans absolutely can. So his argument is that if we can dramatically improve the quality and the speed of information flowing between billions of people, we can create a similar kind of higher-level intelligence on a global scale. And this is where you see the tools in action. You've got X, which is trying to break down language barriers with automatic translation, creating literally one single global conversation. And then, underneath that, you have Starlink. That's the foundational layer, bringing high-speed internet to the most remote, the most underserved parts of the planet, making sure that everyone can be part of that global conversation. But here's the thing. This idea of a global, collective consciousness, it isn't just the end goal. It's actually a necessary foundation for what he sees coming next. Because the next phase of this whole vision is driven by a force he believes will be the most radical, the most disruptive change humanity has ever seen. And that, of course, is artificial intelligence. And we're not talking about small, incremental improvements here. He literally sees a supersonic tsunami on the horizon, a wave of AI and robotics so powerful that it's going to completely reshape our entire economic structure and our very relationship with the idea of work itself. Okay, and this is where his vision gets, well, truly radical. He's predicting that the very need to work for a living is going to completely disappear. This isn't about shifting to a 4-day work week or something like that. No, he's talking about a jump to a 0-day work week, a world where any job is completely optional, something you do for fun, like a hobby, if you even want to. And the result of all this? An age of total abundance with what he calls universal high income. And the timeline he puts on this is just staggering. He's not talking about some distant sci-fi future. He's saying this will happen in less than 20 years. He even says, people can play the tape back then and see if he was right. But that is his genuine, honest-to-goodness prediction. I mean, just think about the implications of that for a second. If AI and robotics can produce any good or any service you can possibly imagine, what's the point of money? He argues that in a future like that, the very concept of money could become obsolete because you just don't need it to allocate labor anymore. So we've gone from the end of work to, well, the end of reality as we know it. Now, this might sound like the most abstract, out there part of his worldview, but it actually follows a surprisingly simple logic. And it might just be the ultimate answer to that very first question we started with. What's the meaning of life? So here's his argument, and it's pretty straightforward. Just look at the progression of video games. 50 years ago, we had Pong, literally two rectangles and a dot. Today, we have these massive, photorealistic multiplayer worlds. Now, just extrapolate that trend. If you follow that curve, it seems pretty much inevitable that eventually video games will become completely, 100% indistinguishable from our physical reality. So if that's true, if there are going to be billions, maybe trillions of these super realistic simulations, what are the odds that we just happen to be in the one single original base reality? Musk argues the probability is almost zero. It's just far, far more likely that we're living inside one of those simulations right now. And if that's true, think about it. That quest for understanding we talked about, it suddenly becomes about discovering the rules of the game we're in. It's the ultimate version of learning what questions to ask. Okay, wow. So after a trip through collective consciousness, the end of work, and simulation theory, you're probably wondering, what am I supposed to do with all of this? So let's bring it all the way back down to earth with some very simple, very practical advice. Because despite all that high-level, super abstract thinking, when he's asked for advice for entrepreneurs, for people who want to build something today, his answer is surprisingly simple and down to earth. It has nothing to do with simulations or AI singularities. This is it. This is the core principle. Just aim to make more than you take. He says that anyone who is a net contributor to society, who makes more than they consume, has his respect. And that really should be the fundamental goal. The idea is pretty straightforward. Don't chase the money. Chase the creation of value. If you just focus on making truly useful products and services that help other people, he believes the money and the success, well, that'll just follow as a natural consequence. And that brings us completely full circle. Because if Musk's predictions do come true, if a world without work becomes our reality, then we are all left with the exact same question he started with. In an age of total abundance, where all our needs are met, what will we strive for? What's going to give our lives purpose and meaning? Now that is something to think about.